as I sit here and breathe behind this microphone, more and more details are being released by our government. This is obviously planned to release this information about the bomb plot of yesterday. Here's Greg Miller of the Washington Compost. The latest al-Qaeda bomb plot targeting U.S. aircraft was unraveled from inside the terrorist group by operatives, including a double agent, working on behalf of the CIA and its counterparts in Saudi Arabia and Yemen, said U.S. and Middle East officials. This is how they cover up U.S. officials. The Saudi service played a particularly important role in penetrating al-Qaeda's affiliate in Yemen, so now they're giving more information and recovering the explosive device, according to officials who described an elaborate espionage operation in which the CIA tracked the bomb's movements for weeks, then killed suspected plotters in a drone strike after the device was seized. Now listen to me. This is a disgrace, according to officials who described an elaborate espionage operation in which the CIA tracked bombs' movements for weeks and then killed suspected plotters in a drone strike after the device was seized. This is intentional. This information pouring out right now. And I can tell you the folks at the CIA and these other intelligence and law enforcement agencies are stunned that this information is being pushed out the way it is. Brian Ross, ABC News. Senior U.S. officials continue to withhold certain details, including the location and status of the individual, described by officials as a Saudi informant who penetrated al-Qaeda posing as a willing suicide bomber, then turned over the device to authorities after leaving Yemen. Everybody's going to focus on the process. I'm focusing on the treason. These were senior U.S. officials who put this information out because this idiot reporter just blew it. First he says U.S. officials and Saudi officials. Then he comes back with senior U.S. officials continue to withhold certain details. But comments by White House counterterrorism advisor John O'Brennan and others made it clear that the involvement of the CIA and its partners went well beyond simply watching the bomb plot unfold. Now here he is on the record. We're confident that neither the device nor the intended user of this device posed a threat to us. Brennan said in an interview at ABC's Good Morning America program, we had the device in our control and we were confident that it was not going to pose a threat to the American people. That's harmless. That's harmless. That point. But just keep listening. The bomb arrived about a week ago at the FBI lab at Quantico, where explosive technicians are examining it, law enforcement sources said. The emerging details help to illuminate the evolving tactics being employed by both sides and what U.S. officials have come to regard as the most critical counterterrorism front. Look how this information's pouring out. And just the other week, some State Department officials said the war on terrorism is over. I guess they didn't read that person into what they were doing. The plot shows that al-Qaeda's franchise in Yemen remains committed to mounting attacks against Western targets, even after its most prominent advocate of such targets, the American-born Anwar al-Awlaki, was killed in a drone strike last year. I know it's Awlaki. The disruption of the threat also indicates the CIA and other agencies have gained significant traction on their target 2 years after Obama began deploying more spies, eavesdropping equipment, and armed drones to the Arabian Peninsula. So there is the kicker. There's the kicker. The disruption of the threat also indicates that the CIA and other agencies have gained significant traction on their target 2 years after Obama began deploying more spies, eavesdropping equipment, and armed drones to the Arabian Peninsula. CIA officials declined to comment on the mission. Other officials spoke on condition. Got that? CIA is silent. Other officials spoke on condition of anonymity, citing the sensitivity of intelligence operations and trying to cover their own asses. I added that. A senior U.S. intelligence official said spy agencies were able to keep tabs on the location of the bomb as well as those involved in plotting how it would be used before it was intercepted in another country in the Middle East, thought to be Saudi Arabia. We know the route this thing took in terms of its movement, the official said. This is somebody reporting to the White House. I can't prove it, but I guarantee it. The device was described as an updated version of a design that Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, or AQAP, has used in a series of plots, including the attempt to blow up a Detroit-bound airliner on Christmas Day in 2000. Look at all the intelligence information being spilled into the public. Really being spilled into the hands of Al-Qaeda. The U.S. intelligence official declined to discuss what he described as the disposition of the individual involved, transporting the bomb before it was seized. Other officials indicated the bomb handler was cooperating with the CIA and Saudi intel services and is in protective custody. Well, now, it goes on, but that's enough. The Washington Compost, 6:17 p.m. Eastern Time. Plenty of details, more to come, I'm sure, from senior U.S. intelligence officials. If I were running the House Intelligence Committee, because forget about the Senate Intelligence Committee, if I were running the House Intelligence Committee, I'd take the top 10 senior U.S. intelligence officials, starting with advisors to the President, and I would demand their testimony under oath. I mean, if it's good enough for Roger Clemens and steroid use, it seems to me it's good enough to find out who is leaking in a way that will damage our national security and perhaps ongoing intelligence operations with Al-Qaeda. But did you catch the sentence? I'm sure you did. I read it twice. It's thanks to Obama. He's deploying all these new spies, all these new drones, all these other things. We can't prove or disprove that, can we? And folks, I hate to tell you this, as we get closer and closer to the general election, more and more of this is going to go on. Whatever the issue, foreign policy, domestic policy, whatever it is, it's all going to be used, the information leaked, everything spun, dollars spent, executive orders issued to promote Obama, who, as I said last week, has already changed the presidency into something the founders never intended, an imperial president who seizes more and more authority with each passing week, and if he's reelected, you're not going to recognize this presidency, the office of the presidency. This election is no joke. It's not a time to stand on your, well, I'm offended. Well, so am I. I didn't like the primary, but it's over. Obama has to be defeated. The Republican Party is being changed. You just saw Richard Murdoch just won in Indiana. We have other races going on around the country. Let's change it. Change it where we can and when we can. And if Romney's elected, we're still going to change it. But it's a constitutional republic, and we vote. Everything we want can't happen overnight, and it won't happen overnight. But the fact that things are happening is good in Indiana, and we want them to happen in Nebraska, and we want them to happen in Texas, and we want them to happen in other places. And they can. It's up to you. You heard that teacher call, public school teacher, one of us, a conservative. Took a personal day and worked 12 hours at the precincts. That's what's required. That kind of commitment. And more, frankly. This is a disgrace, these leaks of information. But I can tell you, when I was Chief of Staff to the Attorney General of the United States, leaks like this, we investigated. We didn't talk about it, but the FBI looked. Under this Attorney General Holder, I don't know what the hell is going to happen. My guess is very little. House Republicans, can you wake up for a moment? House Republican leadership, to be more specific, can you wake up for a moment? Rather than doing pointless stuff, you need a hearing. You need some of these men and women under oath. And you only have to ask them a couple of questions. Just pretend you're investigating Major League Baseball players and steroid use. You're very aggressive about that. That was very important to know for our federal Congress, whether players were sticking needles in their ass with steroids. Okay, now we have some answers. Great, wonderful. Now, find out, if you can, who the hell is putting this information out, weakening our national security, and potentially exposing great patriots who've put their necks on the line to get this information to us so another plane's not blown out of the air. Because I smell politics in the release of this information now at this time. The details are unbelievable. Double agent. The Saudis were involved. Thanks to more spies and drones ordered by Obama to the Middle East, the Arabian Peninsula. You know, my son went and saw the movie The Avengers, and I said to him, was Obama in there? He said, no. I was stunned. What, with Hollywood and the movie The Avengers? I thought he'd be Captain America at least. Or Captain Anti-America. Something.